Hello and welcome to yet another episode of NewsX India A-List, where we bring you the success stories of stalwarts from all walks of life. First up on the show is Sanjay Ghare. He's the co-founder and CEO of Tech. We also have on the telecast Adhiraj Mehra and Drishti Pahwa, who are the managing partner AMDP Advisors. And finally, we have Dr. Amushree Jha, who's the director of Divinity, and she's also the founder of PoojaShoppe.com.
The visionary behind Tech.
Starting Tech as a whole in 5 years.
Started taking customers globally because our vision was make the mapping available to the world.
Changing the game of travel technology in India.
How your technology is being integrated into Juniper's offerings.
Juniper Group have a lot of key travel tech companies, which includes Juniper and few more. And Tech will get integrated seamlessly, where customers signing up on Juniper and the other group companies can get the Tech services just by clicks.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Sanjay Ghare for excellence in entrepreneurship.
First question that obviously comes to my mind is, what motivated your decision to be acquired by CSI? Can you describe the key factors that influenced your decision to accept the acquisition offer?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you, Vinit, for having me. It's a pleasure. I think two things. First is the benefits we are getting through this acquisition, the strategic benefit, because CSI is world's 8th largest software company in the globe, and they have more than 1,000 software companies as a part of portfolio. So we have a lot more to collaborate and gain from acquirer. That's one. And second is the operating model. So Tech will remain independent, function as is without any changes in the brand, in the operation. I think these were the two key things which kind of helped me to take this decision and move ahead.
Well, I think it's, in hindsight, it was a great decision. Can you also share insights onto how your product or your technology is being integrated into Juniper's offerings? Are there any plans for rebranding or renaming your product or services, or will you be totally independent?
Yeah, so as I said, we'll be totally independent, operations-wise, product-wise. There is no change in the operations and brand at all. But yes, Juniper Group have a lot of key travel tech companies, which includes Juniper and few more. And Tech will get integrated seamlessly, where customers signing up on Juniper and the other group companies can get the Tech services just by clicks.
Wonderful. And Sanjay, also talk about how do you perceive the cultural fit between your startup and the conglomerate CSI? Have there been any cultural challenges, so to speak?
So that's the interesting question, right? The way Constellation operates, that there is only the KPIs and the financial metrics is, the best practices which needs to be followed. But from the cultural standpoint, every company can have their own culture, their own strategies, their own way of operating. So from the cultural standpoint, nothing is really changing for us, because we are just getting some best practices so that from a startup mindset, we can start thinking like an enterprise.
Absolutely. And Sanjay, also talk about your long-term goals within CSI ecosystem. Can you also discuss any plans for product development, expansion, or growth post the acquisition, of course?
Yes, of course. So there are two main things. One is from the Tech standpoint. In last 5 years, we have been now known as an option for taking a mapping and content services to pretty much everyone in the globe. First thing we want to achieve is we want to become the most preferred option. Just like, if you're going to buy the phone, there may be 10 options available in the market, but iPhone becomes the best preferred. You buy it or not, doesn't matter, but iPhone is still the best. Everyone agrees to it.
Absolutely.
So first is we want Tech to be the most preferred option from just being an option. That's the one goal. Second is, as a strategy of Constellation, we are also looking at acquiring few more companies in the similar space and do have an inorganic growth in India and Asia region. And India is one of the key focus for Constellation. That also has for us and motivation to work with them, because then we can help a few more travel tech companies in India as well.
That's wonderful. And of course, what valuable lessons have you learned from this acquisition process and starting Vovotech as a whole in 5 years? Is there anything you would have done differently in retrospect?
Absolutely. So I would start with what I would have done differently if I have to go back, in last 5 years. When we started Vovotech, we started taking customers globally because our vision was make the mapping available to the world. But I think, signing up a customer in each market, came with new challenges and the new needs from each market. So if I have to go back, I would start with one market instead of starting globally. That's one thing. Second is, I think the biggest learning from acquisition, I would say, is acquisition can't be planned. You have to be very clear about your goals and what you really want to achieve, and then on the way you have to make the decision when acquisition is getting aligned with your goals and needs. It can't really be planned as such.
Absolutely. And Sanjay, what advice would you give to other startups considering acquisition as a strategic option? Are there any specific factors or criteria they should prioritize during negotiations according to you?
Absolutely. So I would say, acquisition. One thing is how do you value your company, and I think a lot of focus goes in that. But I would say there are a lot of best practices and ways available to really figure out the value of your startup in acquisition. What is very important is the other things, how the company is going to run, the growth, what are the other strategic benefits and how the other terms are defined in the acquisition. And don't only look at, because you will be a lot of companies who are out there to buy your company will reach out to you. You have to figure out who is going to add a value to yourself or your company in deciding who are the right, acquirer for you. And once you decide that, then focus on the other terms beyond the value as well, because I'm sure value is most important. But once that is agreed, focus on the other things.
Well said. And how have your customers and stakeholders responded to the acquisition? Have you seen any changes in customer behavior or satisfaction levels?
Yeah, so I think shareholders are happy because it's all planned and everyone was always aligned. But from the customer standpoint, there are a lot of queries coming, though we have cleared that in the press release. But one common question is coming, is there going to be any change operationally? Is there any kind of merging? And which we are kind of reiterating that nothing is really going to change the way we operate. That's the only question which is coming very frequently since this news is out.
All right, last question, Sanjay, before we let you go. How has the acquisition personally impacted you as a founder or a key team member? What are your personal takeaways from this experience that you have had?
I will say two things. One thing is, acquisition has made me more confident than ever because in the journey of building the company we have pretty much achieved everything, but this is a milestone which gives a lot more confidence, and now we have a lot more support available. And second, during the acquisition things are never smooth. There are always the all kind of times. One thing which I have experienced in the past also, idea is important for startup, money is important for startup, but the most important is the team. If you have the right team, you will be able to figure out every way, every thing on the way. And in the acquisition also, I think most important thing, which has helped me is my own team, which I'm super proud of.
Well said, Sanjay. Well, evidently, and as we can all see, obviously you are one of our brightest, and your charisma has gotten you this far, and I'm very positive that it will take you further ahead in life as well. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Young iBanking warriors.
Everyone to have an investment banker, and how does it actually help a company or a startup?
Primary objective that we have is to marry the investor's vision with the company's vision.
Enabling business reach the next level.
Which are the sectors and companies you believe one should watch out for in 2023?
Trezi, the metaverse company, is a tangible metaverse in the AEC space.
Okay.
Watch out for these spaces, because if you are going to invest or wanting to be part of them, get into these industries now.
NewsX India A-list proudly recognizes Mr. Adhiraj Mehra and Ms. Drishti Pahwa for excellence in business advisory.
Today we have with us in our studio Adhiraj Mehra and Drishti Pahwa. They are both working with a large network of investors, including private equity funds, VCs, early stage funds, HNIs, and large scale family business houses, both in India as well as overseas. They help them raise growth, capital via institutional investors, and also facilitate mergers and acquisition transactions for large corporations as well as family businesses. If you want to know more about them, well, we are going to now find out through this conversation. So firstly, Adhiraj and Drishti, thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you, Uday. Thank you for having us.
Adhiraj, let's get into firstly your introduction. Tell us a bit about both of you, what you do, and also we want to know more about AMDP Advisors and how your journey has been so far.
Oh, sure. But firstly, thank you so much, Uday. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you so much, NewsX A-listers. I think it's a brilliant initiative, and it's always good to be on TV to talk about your work. AMDP, as it stands for, Adhiraj Mehra, Drishti Pahwa. The company is named after us, and simple reason, you never do anything unethical when your name is involved. At least we try to. Look, we are a boutique investment bank based out of Delhi. We work with some of the larger private equity firms. We work with VC firms. We work with early stage capital. We work a lot with like-minded entrepreneurs. Typically, we are sector agnostic. We look at things with a different eye. We look at something as basic as agriculture or deeply rooted as agriculture as an industry, to us actually doing a deal a couple of months back in the metaverse space in the AEC industry. So that's sort of the broad spectrum. In terms of our thesis, we look at necessity-based businesses. I think it's really important that we focus on necessity-based businesses. We try to work with very good people, so promoters are of utmost importance. And obviously now things are moving towards profitability again, so I'm very happy to tell you that we would try to work with profitable businesses and business models.
Now, Drishti, I have to ask you though, why do you believe it's essential for everyone to have an investment banker? And how does it actually help a company or a startup?
So very good question, Uday. In fact, let me tell you that we're actually the shoulder on which the gun is placed and fired from. So the iBanker does all the dirty work. You know, all the difficult things which investors and promoters cannot talk about directly, those are the things that we have to communicate. So our work is much more than just creating a business plan or making investor memorandums or, you know, pitch decks as they call it. There is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. In fact, because we are working with investors on a daily basis, we understand their mindset, we understand where they're coming from. So the primary objective that we have is to marry the investor's vision with the company's vision. So the iBanker does a lot of dirty work to make a complex situation look all rosy. And about 10 to 12 years back, this luxury was not available to us in our country.
Right. You know, Adhiraj, also as far as investors are concerned, what do they really think? What goes into their minds before they invest into a company or a startup nowadays?
I'm glad you brought it up. As I said, you know, I'm very happy that things have moved back to the traditional form of business. Again, the wave has come where investors are looking at profitable business models. Investors are actually looking at good promoters. Earlier, I think about 10 years back, there was this huge wave of, you know, increasing the valuation, putting in a lot of money, increasing the burn rates of companies. I think it's all come back now after COVID, and people have realized that the basics of business can never change. Uday, also, I would really like to point out one thing. I think for any organization or a team, whether it's a sport team, cricket team, whether it's our news channel, everything stems down from the top, right? So your leader at the top, actually you imbibe their qualities. And what PM Modi has done, our honorable Prime Minister, in the last 10 years, he's changed the face of how the world looks at India. You know, earlier, every company that used to come to us, they used to want to work with foreign investors, foreign companies. Everyone used to tell me, I want to enter into the US markets, the UK markets, the UAE markets. And today, because of Mr. Modi and his initiatives, the biggest shift that has taken place is the mindset of Indian companies and Indian entrepreneurs. Every investor in the world today, whether it's from the UAE, whether it's from the US, whether it's from UK, they want to work with Indian companies, and that's beautiful.
Yes, and that's big, and that's certainly very, very good to hear it from you because you're an insider in the industry. Now, but I have to ask you, obviously, this is again something that will be very useful for those watching. Which are the sectors and companies you believe one should watch out for in 2023?
Well, I'll give you 4 or 5 of them. I think India is moving towards a lot of interesting and new sectors now. First one being sports. I think sports in India is largely untapped thanks to our dependence on cricket. But the ancillary sport market is going to grow big time.
Okay.
In fact, watch out for a company called Elevate Sports India, which is doing fantastic work in the kabaddi space. They have a product called Yuva. It's going to focus on more than 1,500 kabaddi players. It's brilliant. They've changed the landscape of kabaddi. Consumer tech is a big sector. Anyone innovating in consumer tech will become big.
Okay.
A company called Insta Astro is actually using astrology services to solve mental health issues, which is brilliant. They've just raised money. They're going to grow. The industry is going to grow as well. Coming back to something more traditional, there's a company called Devdutt Foods, which is actually an umbrella for masalas, for spices, and for dry fruits. No other company has that. They're going to actually shift to a more sort of D2C, B2C model in delivering everything to the clients. We've just concluded one amazing deal in the buzzword today, that's the metaverse, but this is very different.
Right.
Trezi, the metaverse company, is a tangible metaverse in the AEC space.
Okay.
Watch out for these spaces, because if you are going to invest or wanting to be part of them, get into these industries now. And content creation is another one. Must focus on content creation. In fact, a company called Mugafi is doing it brilliantly. They're creating IPs, and these IPs are going to make you money. So watch out for these companies and these spaces. It's damn exciting.
Okay. Right, Adhiraj, that is of course a very, very interesting perspective that you've given us. My final question then is to Drishti. Drishti, what about the youth? Those who are hearing you both today, who perhaps aspire to set up their own firm or maybe join AMDP one day. What should young students aspiring to be investment bankers focus on?
So my message to aspiring iBankers would be that firstly, it's a beautiful field to be a part of. Because you're continuously learning and upgrading yourself, and you're getting a chance to work with some of the finest minds, brightest minds in the industry in terms of investors and promoters. So it's a wonderful career option to have. Having said that, iBanking requires a lot of patience because deal making is a very complex process and it's very time consuming. So a transaction can take 10 days or it can take 10 months for it to conclude. So anyone whose salary is running the house or anyone who's used to getting a fixed amount into their account every month, such a person will not be suitable for this profile. In fact, we at AMDP Advisors, whenever we are looking for candidates, the most important thing that we look for is patience, because it takes time to build your network within the industry, and it definitely takes time to build trust.
Yeah.
Also, someone who is willing to put in more than just the basic things that an iBanker does. So it's not just the IQ that matters here, it's also the EQ, the emotional quotient. Someone who has the ability to understand why certain decisions are taken by investors and promoters. Such a person would definitely be valued and rewarded in our industry.
Okay, well, that's great advice to those watching, and thank you both so much once again for joining us on our show, Adhiraj and Drishti, and wishing you the very best in your journey ahead.
Part of a legacy of a spiritual brand.
Introduce us to Divinity and what all it does.
Divinity is, as the name suggests, a spiritual company which was conceptualized long time ago in 1956. It's a 60-year-old company, and it's been there, in the country, in all the divine space, in government space, everywhere in B2B business.
Creators of Badge of Sacrifice for the Indian Army.
Presenting this space for all women as a female entrepreneur. Are there any challenges that you have faced in your job?
Thankfully, things are changing, with so many female entrepreneurs entering the space, giving the voices to female entrepreneurs, government supports. So I think, there are challenges and there are continuous challenges, but as determination is bigger than challenges, so we are trying to overcome it day by day.
NewsX India A-List proudly recognizes Dr. Amushree Jha for excellence in entrepreneurship.
Hello and welcome to NewsX A-List, where we bring together India's brightest and most influential. Today, we have with us Dr. Amushree Jha, who is working with a large network of investors, including private equity funds, VCs, early stage funds, HNIs and large-scale family business houses in India and overseas as well, raising growth about capital via institutional investors and facilitating M&A transactions for large corporations and family businesses. Let's jump into a discussion with her now. Thank you so much, Amushree, for speaking with us right here on NewsX. The basic question everybody wants to know is introduce us to Divinity and what all it does.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me today here at A-List. So Divinity is, as the name suggests, a spiritual company which was conceptualized long time ago in 1956. It's a 60-year-old company, and it's been there, in the country, in all the divine space, in government space, everywhere in B2B business. But recently we have come into the retail segment and the B2C customer segment, and now we are trying to reach to the individual household and make Divinity a household name.
Wonderful. Tell us about the underlying idea behind the company and some of its unique features as well.
See, the USP of Divinity is its manufacturing. It's completely Indian made, and the technology which we use is the Swiss technology, because earlier the gold foil was imported from Switzerland, and but from 2008 it's been manufactured in India. It's a completely Indian company, and the technology is something which is a very, very special USP of Divinity. It cannot be replicated. Many companies have tried, but the counterfeit products are of very bad quality. So the quality is something which Divinity specializes in. It's its USP, and for that, we have repeat customers. So what you call it, the brand value which Divinity possesses in the market, it's completely because of their unique manufacturing strength, I'll say.
Very well. Well, let's also talk about you representing this space for all women as a female entrepreneur. Are there any challenges that you have faced in your journey?
Oh, there are many challenges. In India, no matter how much you work, you are still a female. You have to take care of a lot of other aspects of the household, the society. But thankfully things are changing, with so many female entrepreneurs entering the space, giving the voices to female entrepreneurs, government supports. So I think, there are challenges and there are continuous challenges, but as determination is bigger than challenges, so we are trying to overcome it day by day.
Well said. And in your opinion, what are some of the most significant milestones you think you've achieved so far in your professional journey?
I think the mark in my journey, in my professional journey, is making my company a household name. When people call us and they say that we need only Divinity, that is something which makes us proud, makes us all proud as a company, that we have earned the respect of our customers. That is something that has really been a thing which I can take pride in.
Of course. And what are some of the key mandates that you kept in mind for a successful business career in today's challenging environment?
See, success is an ongoing process, and it's just like development. You cannot benchmark it with particular thing. It's an ongoing thing, and we have to continuously strive to it to get to retain the success, even what we have achieved. To take care of the aspects involved in business, so that the customers are satisfied, things don't go out of our hands, because being so many counterfeit products in market, we have challenges, we have things to live up to our customers, so they are completely satisfied. So I think that is it.
Well said. And last question, your futuristic views towards your company and what plans do you have?
So this is something which is really dear to me as of now, because we aim to expand globally. We are already present in a lot of countries and we export, but I want to make Divinity a name the way it is being reckoned by in India. You know, the globally company people should know that there is a company which is Indian, made by Indians, you know, and you know, flourishing abroad. I think that is something that I really look forward to. So that would be my, you know, dream, my future for Divinity.
Well, Amushree, I'm very sure you are on your way to that projection and that vision you have for yourself and your company. Appreciate you taking out the time and speaking with us right here on A-List, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.